Hello, everyone. You know who it is, Dr. Lamarr Renee Spencer, your favorite life alignment strategist and certified relationship, life, and business coach. I received some feedback, which I love, and the people that were listening said that I should give my contact information at the beginning of the broadcast. So I said, you know what, I think that's a great idea. So here it is. My email address is drlamarrspencer@gmail.com. That's drlamarrspencer@gmail.com. My website is drlamarrspencer.com. And if you want to go old school, my telephone number is 973-214-6464. And so I thought that was a great idea. So I said, you know, I'm just going to give that at the beginning. So I agreed. And hey, that means that I actually do listen. And so the other question was, or comment was, do you give coaching? Do you coach groups and also one-on-one? And the answer is yes and yes. So reach out to me because I'll even give you free 30 minutes. How about that? To get to know you and find out how I can help you. So let's get into it. I want to talk about toxic people and ways that you are either toxic or you're around someone toxic. And so this word has been thrown around a lot these days. Matter of fact, in the last few years, everyone is toxic, and when I say everyone, I'm not saying everyone. So please don't, ding me or trying to quantify. But some of these people are just as toxic as Clorox. Yes, they are. Just as toxic as carbon monoxide. And some of them could be your coworkers. They could be your family members. They can be friends. I mean, hey, they could even be your parents or your siblings. And these people are toxic. These are the people that you have a cookout or Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas and they show up, and by the time they leave, someone is arguing and or fighting. Yes, this is what it is. This is these type of people. And so, but how do we know if you are toxic? And the reason why I want to say you is because guess what? Sometimes you are the problem. Hey, sometimes I'm the problem. So first thing of recovery or getting help is to recognize when you are the problem. And what are some of these things that people have to do in order to be toxic? Well, guess what? Today we're going to explore it. But first, you know me, I always got to, I have to define things. That way we're all on the same keel and we're all in sync. So what does it mean to be toxic? And so in general, in the sense of the word, something that is toxic is harmful upon exposure. So remember I said when some of these people come to Thanksgiving or Christmas or your cookout, as soon as they walk in the yard, here they come trying to pollute the situation. And so they're polluting it, or they are toxic or harmful upon exposure. Yes, they are. Get on your nerves. So there are many various levels of toxicity. And some things actually are instantly lethal. Others are harmful over time. So that means, if you are or someone that's toxic, they may not be instantly toxic. They may gradually. That means that, let's say, for instance, something happens in their life. You could say, well, you used to be so nice. Now you're just a pain in the ass. Yeah, these are some of these people. But regardless, the definition don't change. All right. And a toxic person is really one who harms others through their words and or actions. Like, I deal with this all the time, where you have a person that's just so negative. And you could do something great or something that could make you happy or proud. You say, no, I just bought a house. They're like, well, guess what? You probably ain't going to like your neighbors. They probably ain't going to like you. They're always, negative. And some people may call them Debbie Downers. That's always a term too. So when you hear that word or that term, these are the people that they are, that they're talking about. So, but keep in mind, if you are that toxic person if you're that toxic person, guess what? Hey, you better take a listen at this, what I'm about to talk about. So get your popcorn, get your favorite drink, stop cooking whatever you're going to do, because some of these things may illustrate you and who you are. And so, really, around toxic people, right? Often they feel worse about themselves, or people looking on may feel some type of way around you. And while this is not always easy to identify, it covers everything that follows. When a person has left you feeling unloved, unappreciated, unworthy, or haven't spent time around you, there's a good chance that you have exhibited toxic behaviors toward them. And of course, you can't always know what's going on in the inside of a person or in their head, but if you spot that somebody's body language has become visibly more closed off or negative, guess what? That's because they're probably feeling some type of way, or you probably hurt their feelings and they're really just feeling rotten. So if their eyes start to drop, or they seem a little embarrassed or ashamed by what you have said or done, that's because you've inflicted some type of harm to their feelings. Yes, guess what? Bottom line, you hurt them. You hurt their feelings. You don't just tore them up. So people avoid you. They disappear. They're out of your life, and sometimes for good. So, sometimes people, they'll curse you out and they keep cursing you out and, inflicting all kind of harm. Well, guess what? Everybody's not like that. Sometimes people will just step away from your life and you don't even know it. I'm going to give you an example. My boss, right? She was so good with this. If she was in a situation that made her uncomfortable, she would leave and you wouldn't even know she's gone until like days or weeks later. She just kind of back up from the situation. My stepfather is good for that too. He ain't gonna cuss you out. He ain't gonna show no type of malice. He just leaves, and then next thing you know, one day you're like, wait a minute, where is he? He's gone. She's gone. They're out of your life, okay? And perhaps sometimes, really, again, sometimes even your friends, they may have plans or make excuses, but it doesn't include you. So let me ask you some questions. Are you one of the people that never, that people don't initiate contact with you? Do people seem to exit your life and not be around you? Does your colleagues try to avoid inviting you to like social events like the Christmas party or, the team building? Do people kind of cut conversations short with you? When this happens, guess what? You're the toxic ass person. And when people enjoy being around other people's company, they will find ways to spend time with them. But the opposite is actually true for you or that person you know. And this is evidence that, guess what? You're creating more harm to them than good. You're not bringing any worthwhile behavior, activity, or anything to them. You are a toxic person. And so another thing, usually with toxic people, they always tend to be highly critical and think that they are superior to others. And you might find it difficult to accept other people as they are, or people that are toxic criticize or judge others by what they see as faults. And let's just keep it real here. People who are toxic will always shame others, and they use it as a weapon. They weaponize them to feel bad. But truly, it's the person who's toxic that actually feels bad on the inside. They use that as a weapon. And so, really, when they do that, there's always something wrong. It's never going to end their way. At least they think it will, but that doesn't, always happen that way. Because guess what? They're just toxic. And, really, people who are toxic, they always belittle people. They belittle their choices. They poke fun at them, especially when it comes to their accomplishments. And they seek to make people believe that they are the better person. And so, like I said, Are you that person who's toxic? Because if you are the person from hell. And believe me, you always feel that you're superior to everyone else. And what's more, if this is you, you try to fix other people and their flaws with your not so helpful, unsolicited suggestions about how they should do things and how they should live their lives. And you're controlling, emotionally manipulative. You always seek to make others your pawns or have them do things as you wish. This cuts ties. And if you're not you're not superior to these type of people at all. No, absolutely. And they know this. You always tend to boss people around, you micromanage situations and use various forms of emotional blackmail to ensure that you get your own way. And really, you also are very blunt and rude to the point where it shocks other people. Is this you, or is it people you know? Because I know quite a few people who are like that. They come to your house. You've been living in the same house for 15, 20 years. They've been over your house hundreds of times, and all of a sudden they look in the corner and find out that maybe your wall ain't quite straight, your paint ain't straight, your floor ain't quite level. Here they are. Every time they come around, it's always something. And really, they never really apologize or admit wrongdoing. Yes, and I'm sorry if that's not a word that often passes your lips if you are this person. But after all, guess what? You know best, right? You know what everybody else is doing wrong. You're never the person who's wrong. And even when it's obvious to everyone around, it's never your fault. You will defend your position and refuse to apologize. Instead, you make excuses why something happened the way it did or how you behaved, which guess what? Leads to blaming others for everything since you do no wrong. And when everybody else is, wrong, you're never the one who's wrong. You instantly shift the blame onto other people. And nothing is bad, especially when it's ever your responsibility. But guess what? The results of mistakes made by other people or simply by virtue of life being unfair and working against you, some of those things you blame will take, people take that very seriously and start to even doubt themselves. I've seen people, especially clients, have come to me where they're crying themselves to sleep at night because someone has been so toxic in their life for years, and then mixed with that, their narcissistic personalities. These people cry themselves to sleep, and it's very disheartening. It breaks my heart, right? Because really, if you are this toxic person, you take advantage of other people's kindness. You think they're dumb, stupid, or slow, but they're totally not that. It's just that, guess what? This world is filled with kindness. But if you don't take the opportunity to make personal gains and take advantage of you, hey, that's you. Because no one at the end of the day want to be by themselves. They just don't. And really, this world is really a give and take. You do very little of giving, but you do a whole hell of a lot of taking. That's for darn sure. I mean, come on. You do. You're always one-sided. And really, you hurt people first, and then you try to run. Which brings me to another thing. You always humiliate people to gain favor of the crowd. And have you ever made fun of someone in order to make others laugh or really like you more? Have you ever done something really to a person when they're in the room? And so, really, this is like, you may think it's friendly banter, but it's not. It's toxic behavior. And it's more, when it comes to toxic or banter, it's really like a personal attack, especially on someone who's innocent. And that person really will be left feeling horrible about themselves, which, as we have discussed a few minutes ago, really is the hallmark of toxic behavior. And really, these people, and maybe you, right, you hold grudges as if the other person has done something to you. Good for playing the victim. And so when a person does something to upset you, there's no way you're going to let them off the hook. You make them feel like crap. And every chance you get, you will do that. Even if they apologize, you'll hold their wrongdoings over their head for years. I want to say months, but it's a little bit longer than that. And you'll make it known to them that you have not forgotten or even forgiven them. And it doesn't matter how close you are to this person or people and how much you claim to care about them. But really, you probably are at the point where you don't understand principle, morals, integrity. You'll even try to give them the silent treatment. Perhaps you'll bring up the incident over and over again to remind them of how bad of a person they were or are, but it's really you. So one way or another, you'll make them pay for what they did by causing them harm. That harm may be even trying to cuss them out, right? Because you're always trying to make things personal. Disagree, and that's normal for you, and is actually expected, especially from someone like you. But things get very personal very quickly when you're involved. It may not even have nothing to do with you, but you will incorporate your feelings and emotion into something. And you're definitely damn sure not afraid to attack your opponent, especially in conflict where you will single them out for specific things that you believe will hurt them emotionally. You bring up their past, you take advantage of their character, you ridicule them in a way that makes them look bad. You could be racist, you could be homophobic, you could be abusive in so many other ways. But of course, when all things are said and done, you blame them by making them feel like they have misbehaved and done you wrong. And you definitely don't celebrate people at all, especially their successes. So when someone goes right for the other people, especially when they've achieved something or succeeded, or even when it's a goal, guess what? You sure don't celebrate them. You don't celebrate them, and you don't celebrate with them. You do not utter a single congratulations or show that you are pleased for them. And if you do, if you get 10%, you sure want that 90% because you like to feel like you are on top of the world. You may even downplay their win or pretend like it's insignificant or claim they got there in some lucky way. Or guess what? They moved up based on, something that maybe they have done for other people, but it's never because they've actually worked hard or achieved it. And so in doing so, you rob that person of many of the positive feelings that they may have, even for themselves. And this hurts. And you're going to hear me say it a few times, but it does hurt. It reaches a point where people don't even tell you about their successes anymore. They don't even want to call you. They're not going to tell you about anything. They want absolutely nothing to do with you. They might even tell someone that's close to you and tell the other person, don't say nothing. Don't tell her so-and-so. Don't tell him about anything. Because guess what? You're actually secretly jealous of people on the down low. Yeah, you're jealous. And a big part of not celebrating someone else's success is jealousy that you feel towards them. You can't be happy for them because of something that you don't have, right? So you're never going to be happy. And maybe the jealousy is in their looks. Maybe they lucked out, but maybe, just having a nice face or body or some other part of them. But the way you feel is very resentful. And they probably haven't done anything to you. You ever heard a person say, I just don't like them because just the way they look? Not even said anything. They just don't like them because the way they look. Is that you? Do you find yourself saying to others, I wish I could be that or have this? You mean it as a compliment, sort of, but it's not. You're really doing it to begrudge other people. And when it comes to toxic people, and even you, have you threatened repercussions if people don't fall in line with you, like they're in the army, like they're cadets, like they're in basic training? You make them feel that if if they cross you, they'll pay for it, and you make it clear. And oftentimes, these are specific threats that you know will have the desired effect and make that person feel less than how you want them to. And these are typically aren't physical threats, though it could be, but rather threats to someone's mental and emotional well-being. Or it may be threats to cause the person some great inconvenience if they go against your wishes. Perhaps you use sex as a weapon, like withholding it, of course. Maybe you threaten to end the relationship. Or you might even use the threat of self-harm to manipulate someone into doing what you want. And I'm going to give you a quick story about that. I used to date this guy many, many years ago. And he was such a freaking manipulator. And if I didn't do something that he wanted when he wanted, he would threaten me with suicide. He would always say, I'm going to kill myself tonight. I'm like, after a while, okay, where do you want to go? Right? And he said, I want to go by the water. Take me over there. Because it was like he lived by like a lake. Take me over there. I'm going to kill myself. Never got out the car. Never did it. But he used it as to manipulate the situation and to be tactical. And especially people like this, they never freaking compromise. They never do. You might see really your own way or how you kicked up such a fuss or how to make lives of other people miserable as hell. Whether it's deciding which restaurant to dine in or how to decorate your house or even where to send your kids to school, you have the final say. And if somebody else is suffering as a result of you, you don't give a damn. You don't care. You cannot even be trusted to keep a freaking secret. But being open and honest with someone close to us is really an essential part of a healthy relationship, whether romantic, friendship, or otherwise. But that is not in your repertoire. But nobody wants to open up to you because you are not good with keeping secrets of other people. Instead, what you'll do is you'll flip-flop. You ever heard that term flip-flop? You'll reveal their secrets at times when you think it can leverage to help you in some way. Whether that's winning a favor or actually gossiping about somebody, you're all for it. And often people like this will have a smear campaign. And usually it's on some type of social media platform or even text message. Oh yeah, these people are good for hijacking a group and telling you off in the group. They will hijack a freaking group chat in a minute. And really, if someone divulges anything or of consequence to someone like you, if you're this toxic person, they almost hope that they're going to be paying because guess what? You're going to be doing it. You're going to make that person pay for everything that you think they have hurt you with. You might even make some little stupid, snarky, passive-aggressive comment. Not a day go by without you taking little digs at people, especially in neutral comments. So you say things like, really, that was good for someone of your ability, which is really, really like a backhanded compliment. Have you heard that? Or you'll say, why are you getting so upset? Which is implied criticism of how you handle a situation. And then it never helps anyone, but you'll say, all right, fine. Once a person says, okay, you hurt my feelings. All right, fine, whatever. And that's kind of snarky too. And these sorts of comments are designed to put other people on the back burner. It's almost like when other people hear it, you'll cast doubts in their mind, almost like sowing a little seed. And doesn't that sound a little toxic? You use peer pressure to make people do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do. But you do because guess what? You know you can get away with it, and you know that they're going to allow you to get away with it. Because really, you are not afraid of calling people on the carpet, like they say, or even a social group, to put pressure on one of the members or even them, whether they want to or not. And you're the ringleader of craziness. Believe me, you will initiate some garbage, and then hopefully those people participate, because if they don't, believe me, you're going to hold them hostage. You don't even care. And whether it's getting a person to drink something, especially more than they normally would, you don't care. They could be walking around here getting alcohol poison, but you don't care, because guess what? They know that the consequences is much harder than if they wouldn't have complied with you. And this makes, of course, the other person feel weak. Whether or not they end up doing it or complying, it doesn't matter. They feel that way because they know also that your moods are volatile. This is the last one of the slightly less clear cut of a person's experience, mood swings and understandable reasons. Yes, you got mood swings, so however way you wake up in the morning tends to really set the standard and tone and how you're going to be throughout the rest of the day. But also, guess what? Your moods are really unpredictable. So other people who are feeling your wrath may just need to deal with you again from across the street. And so, one thing about you, you are like the king and queen of drama. Whether it's because you're bored or because you want some type of attention, you're a big source of drama. Again, have you ever, or someone happened to you, where you'll plant a seed, you'll send in the group chat, especially when you know family members are gonna read it and they're gonna, as my mother said, take the cow by the ass and run with it? Yeah, this is you. Because you like the drama. Because drama is emotionally charged. It draws people into conflict. It gives you ample responsibility and opportunity to gossip. It allows you to give your opinion on something or others that really have nothing to do with you. They don't even have their own voice when they're around you. And that's pretty sad, because whether you get some enjoyment out of it, we already know you are. So that's not even a question. But you're exhausting the people. And when you drag others into a storm that you're making, it's very likely that you will not pull away, because guess what? By you dragging other people, it gives you some sort of inner peace. And when this happens, usually with toxic people, doesn't it all sound like they're very competitive? Everything is about competition to you. And you almost have to be a winner. Or guess what? Or you'll get upset and or moody. You almost feel like you are going to war. And everyone is a rival. I mean, come on. We know rivalry around friends and family can be healthy, but it has to be enjoyed by everyone. But that's not you, because see, you'll take it up another level. You ever hear the term, you always have to one up a person? Yes, you always have to one up a person. And unless all of your friends are hyper competitive like you, it's likely that you will start alienating people, because they're not going to enjoy you at all. They're going to be feeling your wrath in the pits of their stomach. And so really, when a person has reached their boiling part, where they're starting to be pissed off, they may call you out on your behavior. They really will. And they'll tell you that you have crossed the line. And most people prefer not to be non-confrontational, especially when it comes to their approach. But they have to. But with you, because you're so competitive, you'll try to throw it back on them. And for someone to have taken even enough offense to someone like you, it really upsets you, and it annoys the heck out of you, because they know you are that person. You're toxic. And this might be friends, family, or even colleagues in the contents of the work, or the colleague may be reported your behavior to the superior. Or, if you're family members, they may tell like some of the matriarchs or patriarchs of the family. But guess what? It doesn't matter to you, because you're going to go ahead and play the damn victim. Oh, it's you. You seem to think that you suffer more than anyone else, and that makes it even harder. And you don't play shy about it at all. You don't shy away from situations like that. You run into the situation. And really, it makes you defensive. because you will pay the victim in a minute, and it makes you lash out on the world for all of your wrongdoings, the reason why you have started all this craziness. And you never, ever, ever, when you need help and others damn sure better jump to your beck and call, because if not, you will flip the situation around on them and disappear when someone needs your support. Have you ever had this type of family member or friends, ladies and gents? I know I have. I've had some toxic people in my circle. And some of these people, it sounds like it's easy to get rid of them, but they're not easy. They're like gnats on a wall with some sugar. You cannot, or like little ants, you cannot get rid of these people. Sometimes, it's easy, but trust and rest assured, it's not always easy. And so, really, because they don't consider other people's feelings at all, they want everything to be about them, and they want to play the victim. And so, really, if this is you, maybe you should think twice about sleeping with your friend's ex, or, doing something crazy, because, they're good for that as well. Or, you know what? Guess what? If other people piss you off so much, then maybe you should move away from them. Maybe you shouldn't even have a conversation with them. Like, get away, because really you lie and you gaslight people, and that's really what this is all about. You don't think twice about spinning lies, get your own way, whether that's manipulating people into doing something, or thinking a certain way, or even hiding your activities from someone who trusts you. You're deceitful. Through and through. You make people doubt themselves by insisting that you are the version of correctness. And really, you're not. People aren't fools. However, you have a bit of reputation of being untrustworthy. Most people think everything you say, they take it with a pinch of salt, or like they say, the grain of salt. No, they take it with a pinch. That might be smaller than a grain of salt, but you guys get the gist of it. Because at the end of the day, these people manipulate people. And guess what your favorite conversation is always? You are the best thing that's ever happened. Your whole world surrounds you. Absolutely, you are self-centered. And you never give people an opportunity to talk. They almost feel like they have to interrupt you to get a word in. And you rarely ever stop to ask other people how they're doing, how's their life going, because you don't give a damn. You are a conversational narcissist. And I don't even know if it's a term, but for this, it sounds like it is. It sounds like a pretty good term, because that's what you are. And that is, you dominate the conversation, and you ensure that you express all of your feelings and emotions, and even the thing in your head. Like I always say, you have the people in your head, and they come to the round table. Hopefully everybody will agree, but that's the way you are. And so really, you manifest things not even knowing. And it's pretty sad. Like I said, nobody wants to be around you, because you will drag people I always say, from Genesis to Revelation. You will drag the hell out of them. But guess what? Even with all of this, you can stop being toxic. And it might even take, it may take a little while, but you can stop. If you are able to relate to other people, and you start accepting other people, even above you, you're almost halfway there. That's the hardest step. If you acknowledge that you exhibit toxic behaviors from time to time, guess what? It's you. Don't underestimate this. Many people who might think that you're toxic, and it's obvious that you are, may not realize that you're really a hurt person. And they may not even care to realize or see that you're toxic. They don't even care, because they're so damn fed up with you. And so you have to move forward and try to eliminate these desires and actions. And I'm going to actually tell you some things you can do. But the first thing is, you got to break the toxic cycle. Okay? And when I say toxic cycle, because, sometimes, and I'm not being disrespectful, but sometimes your mama could be toxic, your daddy, like the whole family, or it seems like most of the family can be toxic. But you can break that cycle. And someone posted on my group, she said, you know what? There's generational trauma, but then there's generational choices. And you can choose what you want to do. And so really, you're just really out of sync with yourself. And maybe you feel bad about your behavior, but you don't always stop doing it. You continue. And that's because you haven't looked inward. You haven't confronted your own issues. But let me just tell you, you can start by making positive changes. And one of that is this. Recognize, again, I'm going to reiterate it, that you are the toxic one. Recognize that you have exhibited these behaviors. It's easy to dismiss many other people and what their faults are. But guess what? Sometimes you have to look in the mirror and realize that you are the person who's toxic. You have illustrated toxic behaviors. So you are that person. And I also suggest to my client, I said, you know what, sometimes you have to start writing a journal, because when you start keeping track of your interactions and just activities through the day, you get to see different things and you get to be mindful of what you're doing. You see a pattern of behaviors and arguments, and you find that, guess what? It happens more frequently than you thought. But honestly, when in doubt, contact someone like me. Seek help. If you exhibit some of these things, you know what? It's a good chance that these behaviors resulted in something in your past, or at least a general upbringing. People don't always tend to be toxic all by themselves. It takes years for these behaviors to form and really to be ingrained in your personality. So that's why I said it might be a chance that someone who's close to you, family, friends, or whomever, are toxic too. It really may be. But the best place to start, if you really want help, is go to drlamarrspencer.com. And I'm going to really delve into how this happened, why it started, and what changes you're going to make. Because, I always say change starts with you. I just kind of facilitate the changes, but it starts with you. And I hate to tell you this, but it's the truth. You can make changes, okay? You really can. You have to just start noticing them. And even a slight change is really a win. It's a win and a gain for you. Absolutely. And when in doubt, always ask the person if you are harming them. The most critical part of addressing any type toxic behavior is to first consider what effects it has on other people. Your actions have effects on other people. And if there is any risk or harm, if there's a sign that your behavior should not be, then your behavior should just not continue. This means stop acting. And so it really involves empathy, especially from your part. And you have to understand what's going on and the consequences that your behavior has caused other people around you. So if it involves a level of empathy to really understand the consequences of your behavior and those around you, then I really would ask and really do it. What have I done to change this negative behavior? What have I done to cause harm? And how can I fix it? Get to know yourself. Some people may exhibit toxic behaviors because of what they think or how they should behave, but you have to get to know yourself. See, other people are doing it too, and they believe that, guess what, there's a right way and a wrong way. But simply, there's a pattern of behavior that's causing these things, and it causes you to do it as well. And when you don't know what your true value is or are, it's easy to act in such a way that betrays them. If you start on a journey of self-discovery, you will realize that matters to you really is way more serious than you acting in such a way. Absolutely. But in the meantime, even though I said that, toxic people get on my nerves sometimes, and I understand because there's people in my family like that, but I also coach people when it comes to toxic behavior, so I clearly get it. But you know what? Bottom line is you have to be kind to yourself, especially me. You will undoubtedly continue to hurt other people if you do not make these changes and start being kind to yourself. Don't punish yourself, especially for your slip up. It's understandable. I understand that. You might think this is toxic and, how can I change these things or whatever. But I'm going to definitely charge with calling me or reaching out to me because you know what? One thing you don't want to happen is you end up by yourself and people don't want to be bothered with you because I've seen people so darn mean and then they start getting up there in age and they start retiring and guess what? Nobody wants to be bothered with them. It's almost like they live and die alone and let's stop that before it even happens. So I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I hope you got something from figuring out if you're the toxic person and or if you know someone who is toxic. And I gave you about, I don't know, like 22, 23 things to kind of be mindful of. Of course, I didn't count them, but I gave you some things to be mindful and just to kind of think about. So if you're that toxic person, don't wait till Monday like it's a diet. Make the changes now. Like start now. There's nothing holding you back. Get started. And with that, I'm going to definitely remind everyone to make sure that you go to Amazon and buy my book, The Depths and Diversity Within Relationships. Let's talk about it. And again, it's an anthology with 10 authors. I'm being one of them. And we talk about different relationships. And it's not about intimate relationships. I talk about the relationship between my father and I, which is really the importance of father-daughter relationship. We have another young lady who talked about growing up in New York, which I thought was fascinating because really I always said New York was a melting pot. And then there's someone who talked about PTSD, and then someone who grew up in foster care, and then how one of the authors is very close with her mother, who always had the answers, but she got sick, and now she depended on her. So it's a great, easy to read book. It's about 100 pages, but trust me, there's something in there for everyone. So pick it up at Amazon, The Depths and Diversity Within Relationships, or you can pick it up at my website at drlamarrspencer.com. Well, I enjoyed it, you all, just like I always did, and I hope you enjoyed, my commentary as well. And if there's any subjects that you ever want to talk about, please feel free to reach out to me via email at drlamarrspencer@gmail.com. You can also sponsor the show, whatever you would like to do. It's great, and very much appreciated, because I can't even get my words right. But yes, it really is. And again, I listen to what you guys have to say. So if there's any subject you want to talk about when it comes to work-life balance and relationship, please let me know and we will definitely talk about it. But anyway, in the meantime, you guys have a great day, great weekend or whatever. Enjoy your time. I appreciate you for listening to me, and everyone have a great day. Again, thanks. Bye-bye.